of the SNOMED CT Expo 2022. So my name is Sarah Warren and I'm a terminologist here at SNOMED International, and I will be moderating today's session. All questions will be answered at the conclusion of the presentation. For online attendees, please use the Q&A box to type in your questions to the presenter. And for on-site attendees, we have a microphone that we can pass around. So I'm now pleased to introduce Anna Paredes from VIDAL, who will be presenting Integrating Multiple SNOMED CT Editions and National Extensions. So Anna, over to you.
Thank you. So yeah, my name is Anna Paredes. I'm a pharmacist and I work in the scientific department of VIDAL Group, which is an international company, and I'm based in Madrid, in Spain. Next slide, please. Should I?
Do we have a clicker or?
Sorry? Oh, okay. Okay. Next slide, please. Yep. Yeah, next slide, please. So I'll be presenting the different SNOMED CT extensions or national editions that we are currently working with. We are specifically working with the Spanish edition and the national edition for Spain, and also with the national editions for Chile and Uruguay. For each one of these three countries, I will be talking about the concepts modeled based on the SNOMED CT that we are currently that are currently available in VIDAL database, and I will mention in which SNOMED CT extension or edition they are published, which editorial guides they follow, and how they are related to VIDAL virtual objects. Next slide, please. So for Spain, we are using the drug extension edition, which is separated from the national edition for Spain. The three concepts that are currently modeled based on SNOMED are the DCSA, the DCP, and the DCPF. These are all virtual objects, and since the the national edition for Spain is not currently or modeling real objects, real medicinal products. So the DCSA would be, well, it's a VTM, a virtual therapeutic modality, and it's a grouper concept created, well, that defines medical drugs based on their active substances. And it's related to the MP only concept of the SNOMED CT drug model. Next slide, please. The DCPF and the DCP and the DCPF are more specific concepts, and they are related to the clinical drug concept from the SNOMED CT drug model, and the PCD concept from the SNOMED CT drug model. Next slide, please. So in this slide, you can see an example of the DCSA, which is the more general concept, and it's a grouper concept, as I said before. Next slide, please. And in this slide, you can see the components of the DCPF, which, as you can see, is more specific, and it contains the active ingredients, the dose and unit of measure, the pharmaceutical dose form, and in some cases, the total quantity. This is only when the product is a solution or it's a liquid for injection. Next slide, please. And this is the most specific level, which corresponds to the DCPF, and it's a an object that it goes to the package level. Next slide, please. As I said before, these three concepts are published in the SNOMED CT drug extension for Spain. Which is separate from the edition for Spain and is published by the NRC, which is part of the Ministry of Health. Next slide, please. And these three concepts are related to VIDAL virtual objects, as you can see in this slide. So the three virtual objects are on the top and they are in the blue boxes, and they are related to the real world product. So the DCPF is related to the AMPP, and the DCP is related to the AMP. And at the same time, they are related to VIDAL virtual objects. That would be, in this case, the DCP is mapped to the VMP, and the DCSA is mapped to our VTM. The UCDB is another concept that it means common dispensing unit, so it's the smallest unit that can be dispensed, and AMPPs are related to this concept too. Next slide, please. So for Uruguay, on the other side, we have, apart from virtual objects as in Spain, we have actual medicinal products, which are the AMP and the AMPP, and they have an ID belonging to each of them. Next slide, please. These concepts are published by the NRC for Uruguay, and they follow this editorial guide, the Diccionario Nacional de Medicamentos y Afines. Next slide, please. And they are related also to our virtual objects. So the two red arrows that you can see there are the two mappings from the VMP and VTM from Uruguay that we have just that we are completing now to our virtual objects. And they are in the same level as the ones from the Spanish edition. And they are also related to the AMP and AMPP, which in this case are also modeled in the SNOMED CT extension. Next slide, please. And for Chile, we are currently working with two concepts, which are also virtual objects. It's a medicamento básico and medicamento clínico. Medicamento básico is a more general concept. It's also a grouper concept, and it should not be used for prescribing. But it's, I mean, both of them work for, or their purpose is to be used for medicine, for interoperability when prescribing. But the most specific one, so the medicamento clínico should be used, the MC, should be used for prescribing. The MB, the medicamento básico, it's a VTM, and the medicamento clínico is a VMP. Next slide, please. These concepts are published in the National Edition for Chile, which is published by the Instituto de Salud Pública de Chile, and they follow the guidelines of it's called TFC, Terminología Farmacéutica Chilena. Next slide, please. And in this case, they are these concepts are not related directly to our virtual objects yet. So they are related to, they are mapped to the actual product, to the AMP and AMP, to the AMP. And at the same time, the AMP is mapped to the VMP, so that's a relationship that we have at this moment. There is also another concept that it's the AMCCAE, which is the virtual object at the package level, which it's not currently available in our database. So, but it's the most specific. It's the object that would be at the package level. Next slide, please. And here you have all the acronyms that I have used during the presentation because there are many of them. And just to mention that these mappings that we do from the virtual objects or the real world products to our VIDAL virtual objects work as a quality control for checking, for example, if the dose forms or the pharmaceutical dose forms are correct. Because, for example, in Uruguay, we had a case recently that it was a COVID vaccine from AstraZeneca that it said solution for injection. So the VTM and the VMP from Uruguay said solution for injection, despite even if the product, the laboratory registered it as a suspension. So in these cases, we can detect some errors and communicate them to the authorities that are pertinent. So yes, that was it. Thank you. Well, that's more acronyms. Yeah. Thank you.
So thank you. Anna will now take questions. So as a reminder, we do have a microphone in the room. So if you want to pop your hand up, Terence will bring the microphone around. Just while we're waiting for any questions in the room, we do have some online. So how have you managed content requests while working with multiple SNOMED editions and extensions?
So we work separately with in this case, we work separately with each edition or national extension, and then the concept, so the central part that is common for all the concepts would be our virtual objects. So the VTM, VMP, UCDV, and in the future, the VMPP of VIDAL. So that would be the common part.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Any questions in the room at all? We've got one more online. How do you identify which edition or extension a SNOMED CT concept belongs to when working with different editions and extensions?
So it's in each case, in each country, it's the one that it's being published at the time by the regulatory agencies on their databases. So the databases that we download are updated in each case. For example, in Spain, it's every month they publish a new drug extension for Spain. So it's the same as the one being published by the regulatory agency.
Great, thank you. Any other questions in the room at all? We've got one more online, and then I think we'll conclude this one. So the final question is, have you encountered any difficulties regarding translations or language reference sets?
In this case, it's all Spanish-speaking countries, so not regarding translations, but we are also using SNOMED for allergies, for example, and in that case, we do encounter some difficulties, especially, for example, with plants. They are very different, the names in Latin America sometimes and in Spain. So yes, in that case, we can find difficulties.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you. We do have a question in the room. Thanks, Terence.
No.
Yes, I'll repeat the question.
I understand that your objects are your common ground.
Mm-hmm.
What do you use the virtual objects are your common ground between the extensions that you use. Mm-hmm. What do you use to map between those extensions? Is there a program or an application that you use to make those mappings?
Yes, we have different databases for each country, but the virtual objects are all common. So yes, in each case we map the real world products to or packages. Packages mapped to the UCDVs, and products mapped to the VMPs. So yes, they are two different tools, but
Thank you.
I'm wondering if you've been affected positively or negatively by the frequent releases of the international content.
not currently, because not so far, because for example in Spain the drug extension is independent. It's since it goes to the package level, and that is not modeled by the international edition. It happens in the 3 countries. The international edition doesn't arrive and doesn't reach the package level. So we are using national extensions, and we are not so affected, I think, by the international edition. Of course it affects the international edition, but it's more the national extensions.
Any other questions at all? No. So with that, we will conclude this session. Thank you again, Anna.
Thank you.
Online delegates can join another session through the event lobby, and on-site delegates, if you're playing our event game, please scan the QR code by the door. Thank